Hi everybody, totally random video today, not scripted, didn't think about this, just train of thought. But what I really wanted to talk about today is that in my culture, in my experience, I'm Dutch, and also in my personal experience with a lot of religions, um, we mostly have monotheistic religions here. Christianity, some Muslims, some Jewish people. But what really struck me is that in these belief systems I've encountered, mostly there's always an antagonistic relationship between people and animals and between people and nature. And interestingly enough, I see this as well with people who you might think are like on the opposite side of the spectrum, which is like vegan activists, animal rights activists, people who really care about the environment. They still seem to think that humans always have this antagonistic relationship with everything around them. It's always the humans, whether you look at it from which perspective, either are allowed to use the animals or do use the animals, abuse the animals, exploit them for profit. And the same thing with nature, plants, oceans. We overfish, we pollute our water with plastic and chemicals and whatnot. So there's always this relationship of antagonism between the people doing negative things to the animals and the animals suffering so we can be happy, and nature suffering so we can exploit it and be happy. But I recently read this book. It's called Braiding Sweetgrass. I don't remember the author's name, but I will put her name in the description. She is a Native American woman, and in her book, she describes how she and her culture sees the relationship between humans and animals and humans and nature. And her book really changed my life. One of the things, it's not a direct quote, but what I gathered from her book was that it's an it's not humans destroying everything that has to be, whether you love animals and environment and want to save them from people, or whether you're like, I don't give a fuck, I just want money and God told me I can do what I want. Um, she sees it as an exchange. We receive something from the animals, and in return, we need to give something to the animals. So, and the same for nature. The trees, the plants, the flowers, everything, they give us so much. They give us everything. They give us the oxygen we breathe, the food we eat. They feed the animals we eat. The animals, they literally give their lives to us sometimes so that we can eat and wear their fur or their skin. We literally take their eggs. They give us their milk. And if you're so used to such an exploitative system, which is what capitalism is, that it can seem like there is no way for that to be a mutual, I have to pet all the animals, relationship. But the way she looks at it is, they care for us and we care for them. And that really changed a lot for me, because I don't like to be a user. I don't like to be an abuser. I don't like to be a taker and not give anything back. And it just made me so sad. Like, are we, am I always going to, yeah, I know beep beep, always going to be the bad guy? Like, is life just about not being good, but being as least bad as possible, I guess? But then this book, her way of describing it, it just changed so much for me. It's not just that we take and take and take and we are bad and we don't care. We can take and give, and it's not even take, it's receive. We don't take, We get given gifts, and in return, we give back. You know, I see that now also. I work with horses, and once I learned more about animal rights and just animal behavior, psychology, like what are their needs, I was like, how can I do this? How can I keep a horse and ride it and make it do what I want to do and make it live the way I want to live? And am I just a horrible person? And this is my own dog. She's a rescue, but I was like, am I just the worst fucking person ever? I'm just using this dog. Like, she's so nice to me. She's always there for me when I'm sad, when I'm sick. She's there for me. She makes me so happy. And what am I doing? Just fucking ruining her life. But her book really made me see that it's about, I'm not sure what the word for that is, but it's about giving and receiving, not about taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and taking. You know, humans can also do good things for animals. Animals can benefit from having a relationship with people. Plants and trees and lakes and soil, they can benefit from having a relationship with humans if we as humans take our responsibility. Like I said, the plants, the animals, they give us everything. Sometimes they even give us their lives. And what do we do? I'm not against eating meat, but if a chicken literally gives their life so you can eat them, it is your responsibility to take such good care of that chicken and give that chicken the best life ever. Because that chicken literally gave its life to you. Like, the least you can do is take very good care of the chicken. And in that way, it can be a beneficial relationship. Humans, we do have tools, we do have some knowledge. We can help the animals, for example, with medical care, or if they've had a traumatic experience, we can use what we've learned to help them process that. We can make sure they have access to healthy, good quality food and water and shelter at all times. The freedom of nature for animals is amazing, but we also have to remember that, a rabbit in nature, it might get eaten by a fox, and that's also not a very fun experience. Being locked in a cage, not getting good food, being alone is horrible. But being killed and eaten by a fox is also terrible. So and we have to focus on the good stuff. For example, if we take this rabbit, you can get a rabbit and feed it good quality food. Always let it have clean water, let it have friends, let it have space. Take it to the doctor when it gets sick, which wouldn't happen if it was wild. Protect it from predators, which wouldn't happen in the wild. And the same thing with nature. We can destroy the ocean, but we can care for the ocean. The ocean gives us so much. Lakes, they give us so much. They give us water to drink, which we need or we will die. They have so many creatures that make oxygen, even more than trees. And again, without oxygen, we would die. So how about, instead of overfishing and polluting the sea, we say thank you to the sea and start taking care of the sea? And I guess that's just what's been really on my mind. Reading her book really changed everything for me. I was very depressed before, and it's not just the book that changed this, but it was part of it. I was just really sad because I was just thinking, like, is this what life is? Using and abusing other creatures for my own benefit, and like, fuck them. That's not me. That's not what I want to be. That's not how I want to live my life. And just having this really concrete way of, yes, the animals do things for me. They give me gifts. The plants, the seas, the sky, everything, the sun, it gives me gifts, and I appreciate them, and I do whatever I can to give back. And that's how I want to end this video, is that I think as people, we should focus on the good we can do. Yes, we can do very bad things, and we have, but that doesn't mean we have to. We can do good things. We can be kind to animals. We can treat our nature, our oceans very well. And in return, they will treat us extremely well. I mean, we kind of have to, because, if we don't take care of the oceans and the trees and the animals, we will all die, because we will have no water, no oxygen, no shelter, no food, no nothing. So be kind to animals. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to nature. Don't just take. Give back. Thank you.